Okay, today we're going to take a look at a linear review. So this is everything you guys did in Algebra 1, writing equations of lines, because we're going to need to be very comfortable with all of those skills when we move into our next lesson. So just kind of a nice little review. Slope-intercept form is going to be y equals mx plus b. Okay, keeping in mind just labeling some of these pieces. B is going to be your y-intercept. Okay, M is going to be your slope. And then X and Y is going to be a point on your graph. So I would maybe just write X and Y is a point on your graph. Okay, so notice with slope-intercept form, your Y is by itself. Okay, the other form that we can use is called standard form. So here, y is not by itself. So if you had an equation, I'll just kind of give you an example of what one would look like for us. Okay, here it is very hard to see some of your key features of your graph, like the slope and the y-intercept. So oftentimes we will take the standard form, solve for y, and get it in slope-intercept form. That way we can see our key features of our equation. Okay, so slope-intercept form, standard form. Next, so we're just going to kind of go through and look at different examples of different things that you guys should be familiar with. So when an equation is written in standard form and you are looking for the slope, you want to put the equation in slope-intercept form by solving for y. So this is what I was just kind of reiterating. So find the slope of each equation. So this one is already in slope-intercept form. Your slope is just going to be the number in front of your x. So for us, the slope would be 4. Here, I'm going to go ahead and get y by itself. So I'm going to subtract x over. And then I'm going to divide everything by -4. So here I would have 12 divided by -4, which is -3. Here I would have -1 divided by -4. That's positive 1/4 x. Okay, so here again your slope is going to be the number in front of your x. So for us it would be 1/4. Okay, next thing that you could be asked to do is find the y-intercept. So again, when you're in standard form, it's helpful to get your equation in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to subtract 2x and then divide everything by -5. And then I can simplify. So 5 divided by -5 is -1. -5 divided by -5 is 2/5, and then your x. So here, your y-intercept, we would write that as an ordered pair. That would be 0, -1. So again, your x will be always 0, and then your y value will be whatever your y-intercept is. Okay, here again, I'm just going to get y alone. So I'm going to distribute on the right side, and then I would add 2 to both sides. That would get me -18. So again, your constant is going to be your y-intercept, and I'm going to write that as an ordered pair. So slope, number in front of your x, y-intercept is your constant when you're in slope-intercept form. Okay, so slope, y-intercept. Another important concept that you will need is how to find the x-intercept. So the x-intercept is where you're going to cross the x-axis on your graph. It also is not visible in your equation. You have to do a little work to get it. Okay, so when you're thinking about an x-intercept, so if I just drew a quick graph, so your x-intercept would be anything along the x-axis. So your coordinate is going to look like x, and then your y is going to be 0. Okay, so what we're going to do to find our x-intercepts always is we're going to plug 0 in for y. and solve. Okay, so we'll plug 0 in for the y. And then again, this is going to 0 out. And then I would divide by 2. So again, we're going to write our x-intercepts just like we did our y-intercepts as an ordered pair. Okay, same idea here. I'm going to plug 0 in for x. Sorry, for my y, which I need to do. Okay, so on the left side I have 0 minus 2, which is negative 2. And then I'm going to distribute, add 20 over. I would divide. Okay, so with this, it's a fraction. I'm going to leave it as a fraction, but I'm going to reduce. So that would be 9 over negative 2. So again, I'm going to write that as an ordered pair for my final answer. Okay, so next thing we're going to talk about is a little more specifically finding slope. Sometimes you don't always have an equation to pull it from. So if you're looking at a graph, you could calculate rise over run. So you could count how much you go up or down over how much you have to go left and right. So rise is going to be up or down, and run is going to be your left and right movement. Okay, in an equation again, it's going to be the number in front of your x. And then ordered pairs. So if we gave you 2 sets of ordered pairs, you can do change in y over change in x. Now, kind of like similar to the distance formula we did here y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. You can do y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. Your y will always be your numerator. Okay, so you can kind of choose which way you want to go with that. So again, here for an example, I gave you 2 ordered pairs, so I'm just going to label these points, x1, y1, x2, y2. So again, change in y's. I tend to always do y2 minus y1. So I would have negative 2 minus 5 over 4 minus a negative 3. That's going to be a sign change. So I'm just labeling this is going to be my slope, my m. So negative 2 minus negative 5 is negative 7. 4 plus 3 is 7. So that would give me a slope of negative 1. So m would equal negative 1. Okay, next one, I'll do this one with you as well. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, that's going to be a sign change. So negative 4 minus 8 more is negative 12. 4 plus 2 is 6. And I'm always going to reduce slope. Slope we want to always leave as a fraction. We do not want to write slope as a decimal if it's not nicely divisible. Okay, I'm going to have you guys pause, do number 2, and then come back on and check. Okay, checking your work, you should have gotten 1/2. Again, I'm going to leave my answers as reduced fractions for my slope. Okay, so a couple things to keep in mind. So when we're writing equations of lines, we have to know the slope. Okay, so if you have to find the slope, you may have to get it from a graph, or you may have to do your slope formula to get the slope. Okay, we're also going to always write our answers in slope-intercept form. So this is your y equals mx plus b. Okay. Okay, next thing that we're going to do is kind of piecing together everything we've reviewed. We're going to find an equation of a line that passes through the point 2, 4 and has the same slope as y equals negative x plus 6. So when we want to write an equation, again, we're going to write that in slope-intercept form. Okay, we want it to cross through this point, so I'm going to label that point, and then we want it to have this slope. So the slope of this line would be negative 1. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this general equation we wrote, y equals mx plus b, we're going to plug in for x and y, and plug in for our m. So I would have 4 for my y from my ordered pair, negative 1 for m, and 2 for my x. Okay, notice we don't know the y-intercept, so that's what we're trying to find. We're not using this y-intercept, we're just using this slope. Okay, so I'm going to solve. So b is going to equal 6, so it happens to be the same. That doesn't always happen that way. Okay, so we're going to write our new equation. So we want the same slope and then our new y-intercept. Okay, so maybe at the top here, 2 things you need to write in equation are the slope and y-intercept. Those are your 2 key pieces when you're going to write an equation. Okay, we'll just do this next one together. So it says find the equation of a line that passes through that point and has the same slope as this equation. So here I'm in slope-intercept form, so it was easy for me to see my slope. Here I am not in slope-intercept form. So to see the slope, I have to solve this. So again, I would get y by itself. Next, divide everything by 3. And I'm just going to write this in order. So I like to write my slope first, so 2/3 x. And then 6 divided by 3 is 2. Now, all I want from this equation is the same slope. So I'm going to use 2/3. I don't care about the 2. Okay, so I'm going to use this as my point. So I'm going to write my general equation. I'm going to plug in for y 10. My slope I found was 2/3. X is 3 plus my b. Okay, so again, multiplying fractions, a nice review. So negative 3 times 2 is going to be negative 6 divided by 3. That's going to be negative 2. Okay, and then b here would equal 12. So again, your final answer is to write a final equation. So you need this same slope, and you want your new y-intercept. So I'm going to write my new slope and my new y-intercept. So this equation has the same slope as my original, but also includes these points. So how is this question different? So we had to solve for y to see the slope. Whereas the question before, it was already in slope-intercept form, so I could see that my slope was negative 1.